Hey guys, Pokesick29 here. Welcome to episode number 24. In this episode, we are going to make an ignore command. Basically, you can define a set of players that you want to ignore, and none of their messages will, you won't get any of their messages. This was another request that I am fulfilling. So let's get started right away. So the first thing that we have is our main class with our ignore command. Of course, this is to players only. And it's just the ignore command. Make sure that they specify a player that they want to, ignore or unignore. Get the player. If the player doesn't exist, then say that they couldn't find the player. Second thing is a class. I called it player chat, which implements listener, which is registered in the on enable here. This one uses an async player chat event. This event is called whenever a player chats, and we're going to need to, modify this so that when a player sends a message, it won't be sent to any of the players that are ignoring them. Finally, we need a manager class. All this it's pretty much the same thing as a settings manager, with our private thing and then our instance and get instance. This is not going to be for the configuration. This is going to be for the ignore data. So we'll get back to that in just a second. And of course, I set up the plugin.yml, just a standard one with an ignore command. Okay, so in order to do this, we need to learn a new data container in Java. So we learned about array lists and how they can store, multiple, objects of one type. So we're going to learn about a hash map which stores two. One of them is the key and one of them is the value. So you're going to do hash map player array list player ignore equals new hash map player array list player, and go ahead and do that. And you're going to want to import array list hash map and player, and do that. Alright. Okay. So basically what we've done is we've created a hash map where the key is the player and the value is an array list of players. So when you put in a player, it'll return an array list of players that corresponds to the player that you give it. And now what we're doing is the player is going to be a player on the server, and the array list of players is going to be all the players that they are ignoring. So now that we have our hash map set up, we need to public hash map player array list player get ignore, and I'm gonna spell that wrong a lot. Ignore return ignore. Alright, so now in our manager class we can get this hash map with the player and the list of players that they are ignoring. So now we're going to go ahead and set up our command. So we already have, make them specify a player, get the player if the player is, null. If the player is not online, then say that it couldn't find the player. Now, what we're going to do is, first we're going to say manager m equals manager.getInstance. And the reason why we did that is instead of typing manager.getInstance.blah blah blah, we can now just use m. And to simplify it even further, the only thing in there is the ignore hash map. So we can just say hash map player array list player, and we'll call it I for ignore equals manager.getInstance.getIgnore. And go ahead and import hash map and array list. So now, instead of having to do manager.getInstance.getIgnore.whatever we need to do, we can just type I.whatever. Just a tip to speed everything up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say if I.getP equals null. So what we're saying so when we do I.getP, this is returning. So we're taking the player that ran the command, and we're saying that if the if the array list of players that the player is ignoring isn't there, like if they've never run this command before, then what we want to do is we want to say array list player AL array list equals new array list player. And then we're going to say AL.add T for we're adding the target, and then I.put, instead of the add method from our array list, we're going to put the key, which is the player, on the array list of players. So now what we've done is, if they've never specified a player before, then we know that they don't have anyone that they're ignoring. So we're creating a new array list of players. We're adding the target, and then we're putting it in there, so that they have it. And then we're just going to say p.send message green plus you are now ignoring plus t.getName. And then we're going to go ahead and just return. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say if I.get p contains t. So now what we're saying, that if the list of players that our that the command runner is ignoring is in there, then we want to stop. We want to remove them. And then we are going to say you can just go ahead and copy this, and we're making a new array list of players, and then we're going to say actually we're going to change this to I.get p, and then we're going to say al.remove t, because we already know that the target is in there. Now we want to remove the target, and then we're going to say I.remove the player. Sorry, let me see this. Okay, so now what we're going to say is I.put p and al. So what we're doing is we're getting the list of players that our command runner is ignoring. We're removing, excuse me, we're removing the target player that they specified, and then we're putting this new array list in, and we're going to say send message green plus you are no longer ignoring t.getName. Sorry, I've been sick the past few days. Still have a cough. And return true. Now we're going to say if I.get p contains t. So remember, the exclamation point means, not to a Boolean. So if it does not contain it, we can go ahead and copy this, and we're going to change this to I.get p, al.add t, right, and everything. So now what we're doing is, so first we were saying if it's null. So if they've never specified a player, then we need to create a new array list for them and put it put it in there. But now, sorry. So if they've already specified some players that they want to ignore, we just want to add this other player to that list. So we're getting them, we're adding it, and then we're setting the array list for this player to the new one, and then we're sending them the message that they're now ignoring the player. Okay, so now we need to do this. So what we're going to do is for players, or let's just say PLS Bukkit get server get players get online players, sorry, and go ahead and import that. So now what we're doing is we are doing what's called iterating. So we're saying that we're going through the list of online players, and we're saying that, run whatever's in here for every player. So say we wanted to heal everyone, we do pls.setHealth20, and then that would give, it would go through every online player and then restore their health. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to get the list of players that everyone is ignoring. So we're going to say, and again, we can go ahead and copy this. And we're going to say if exclamation point I dot contains key. Oh yeah, we're going to want to say player sender equals e dot get player. We're going to call it the sender because there are a bunch of players and we don't want to get confused. So we're going to say sender. Okay, so go ahead and type return. So if it doesn't, so you know, if our sender has never specified any players that they want to ignore, then we're just going to stop right there. And then we're going to say, so we're going to say if I dot get PLS. Sorry. Change this to PLS. So if we're going for each player, and if each player, you know, if this player is not specified, anyone that they want to ignore, then stop right there. And now we're saying if this dot contains sender, then so now we're saying if this player is ignoring the sender, and before we do this, we're going to say e dot. And then we're going to say set player r equals e dot get recipients. Now a set is a lot like an array list, and you know e dot get basically we're getting all the recipients of this message. So we're saying that if if this particular player is ignoring the sender, then r dot remove PLS. So now it's not going to be sent to that player. Then we're going to say e dot set recipients. Looks like there's no option for that. Let me see. That's odd. There's no way to do that. Alright. Well, I can tell you one other thing is that we can do for player player fin r. So I thought that there was a way to set the recipients of the message, but I guess that there isn't. So now what we're going to do is we've removed all the players that don't want this message, and then we're going to do, so for all the people that are going to get it, fin.sendMessage e.getFormat plus e.getMessage. Now, I have had some problems with this where it returns these like weird strings, like these weird patterns or whatever when I cancel it. So we are going to actually do e.setCanceled true. And then so it does cancel it, and then it's going to send whatever the format was, which is like their prefix and whatever, and then whatever message they send. Now, I have had some problems with this, and I can't tell you if it's going to work. Off the video, I will see if I can figure out how to set the recipients and, make that easier. But for now, you're going to have to try this. Now, I can't test the plugin since I don't have anyone else online, but what I will do is I will show you. I suppose let me try testing it on myself. Now also you might want to add in there, like get the player, and then, if the player, like if the person's trying to ignore themselves, then you might want to stop it and say, you can't ignore yourself. Oops. Sorry. that is testing server. Let's go ahead and start it up because I don't want to send you guys off with a plugin that doesn't even start up. Okay. So, let's see. Alright, well, it looks like the plugin loaded. Let's see. So, I'll go ahead and log in. Yeah, there's our ignore right there. And seems like my internet is being slow. Well, let's see if this works. Alright, I'll be right back. Let me go fix this. Okay, so I unplugged the router and plugged it back in. And yeah, everything's working now. So, let's go ahead and connect to... Oh yeah, that's right, I banned myself. Let's go ahead, and we never made an unban command. So I'll just go ahead and use the... I think that's from Essentials. And there we go. Alright, so now let's go ahead and give this a try. Ignore, please specify a player. Ignore, blah blah blah, could not find player. Stick 29. You are now ignoring Stick 29. So now, notice how if I send a message, I do not receive the message because I am on the ignore list. Now let's go ahead and do it again. And now if I send a message, see, I receive the message. The only problem is it does this weird string thing, and I don't know how to fix it. So, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video so I can figure that out. Wow, turns out that you're not actually supposed to set the recipients if you remove a player, then it'll just remove them. So I did not know that, and that's actually very helpful. So let's go ahead and reload that. And also with this plugin, when you reload, it will remove all the players and the ignored players, and then you would want to have a configuration file or another file to save all the ignored data. And I'm sure that you could figure that out on your own. You would just for every player you would create a list, like how we did the list of strings, and then store all the players' names and whatever. So let's go ahead and actually test this. So ignore Pogo. So now I'm ignoring this person and I don't see it. But now I'm no longer ignoring them, and when I send the message, it actually sends the message, and it sends it correctly and everything. So that's awesome, and I'm really glad that I figured that out because I actually learned something too. So that's all, guys, for this pretty long video. We learned how to make an ignore command that allows, each player to set a list of players that they want to ignore. We also learned about the async player chat event and hash maps and all that other good stuff that will help take your plugins to the next level. So that is all for this episode. As always, comment with what you want to learn, subscribe, and I hope you like the new art that I got. I have a banner that I gotta put up, and the new little square icon. I think that they're pretty cool. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.